Hello and welcome to this week's YouTube video. Today we are going over the final of the championship bracket of PogChamps. Now PogChamps is one of the largest chess events which chess.com provides for us. Essentially they get a bunch of large content creators together and they have them play in a chess tournament, and the prizes are quite worth it. So a lot of people do decide to participate. Some big names in there are XQC. Frank is here, is one of the big ones. He's a very popular chess YouTuber who got popular through chess shorts, like on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. And CDog VA is a YouTuber from Japan, and he was in the chess boxing event that Ludwig sponsored, and it was just absolutely crazy. But yeah, today I'm going to be going over the final for the PogChamp championship bracket, and CDog is against Frank is here, and there is a total of 4 games. And the first game, CDog has white, and he plays e4, and black plays c6. It's the Caro-Kann, and you simply play it knight f3. And yeah, you get a mainline Caro-Kann, exchange variation, very normal, and white plays d4, very principled move, and black simply develops with knight c6, challenging the center, very principled approach to the Caro-Kann. I mean, it's a very solid system. The exchange variation I find to be quite boring, since you kind of just do the same thing every game, and it's a very drawish opening in my opinion. But this isn't top level chess, this is the interesting kind of chess. You pin the knight to the king with bishop to b5, and black simply plays e6, opening up this bishop, maybe going to the square with the knight, but you are blocking in your bishop. And here, white makes an inaccuracy with knight to c3. The reason this is inaccurate is because against the Caro-Kann and French structures, where you have these the structure on e6 and d5, and even pawn on c5 and c6, you aren't supposed to have your knight on the square because you want a pawn on c3 supporting the center, with kind of like a reversed Carlsbad structure. So yeah, black simply plays bishop to d6, again just developing very normal, very principled approach, and white simply castles, and black continues to develop a piece. Of course, this is why black developed bishop to d6 first, so you don't block in with your bishop after you play knight to e7. Now, white simply plays a3. It kind of looks like a waste of a move, to be honest. I don't particularly know what it does. It stops bishop b4 or knight b4, but other than that, it doesn't really accomplish too much in my eyes. So, black simply continues with castling, again very principled by Frank here. Very nice game so far, very controlled. And now we get bishop g5. I really like this move actually because it induces f6, and now your center has become slightly weak, although now this bishop kind of has some life in protecting this pawn. And after bishop back, you can simply play e5 in the center. This loses its advantage because you have it d takes e5, and then black has to take on the bishop. They lose the bishop pair, and yeah. But simply take on at c6, trying to weaken the center here a little bit. Although it was a bit counterintuitive since you just did give up the bishop pair for the knight, that wasn't really doing too much. Yeah, now we play b4 because taking the center here just allows black's position to open up. They get a big center, and yeah, CDog isn't about that. So he plays b4, and black simply just plays e4, trying to gain space at the center, hitting the white knight, and knight retreats to d2. But now it has prospects of going to b3 and c5, supported by this pawn push. Black plays bishop to a6, hitting the rook, and white simply moves it. I mean, I don't know what else there is to do, but yeah. Black continues with knight to f5, and this is just a very simple move. You're hitting the bishop. It's a good move in general, although you do give white this idea of queen to g4, and you kind of have to deal with some counterplay, because, for example, if you take, maybe there's some check shenanigans, and the rook lifting here. So after knight takes e3, of course, now we rook lift, which is really nice looking for white, although it's kind of hard to really actually do anything with it, since you can't go rook g3 because the bishop is looking at that square. So black goes bishop to c8, and we retreat to e2. I don't really like this move that much because you kind of just move your queen over there to attack, and now you're cheating, and being passive isn't very massive. So black plays a5. I actually kind of like this move, breaking at the queenside pawn structure. Honestly, it might even be the best plan. I really like this move by Frank. Yeah, we play b5, trying to strike with our own, and yeah, this is supported quite nicely. I do like this move. Black plays c5, but notice how that does weaken the d5 square, and yeah, we simply just take on c5, and black takes back with the bishop, obviously hitting the rook, so now you can't take on d5, and also now your rook is hit, so it has to move to g3, where it wants to go anyways, but now black can simply go bishop back to d6. It doesn't hang the pawn, your rook is hanging, so you have to move it back, and Frank chooses to go to f4, really annoying us with this bishop, and this rook is definitely feeling very stuck here, and in fact it is trapped right now. You can't really avoid trade with it. So knight takes d5. This is an interesting move. You're sacrificing a piece, trying to get out of the rook trap, and yeah, it's desperate, but maybe you can complicate things by opening up the center. You do have a battery here, so it's not all terrible. Queen takes, and here we have quite a big blunder with rook takes e4, because this simply just hangs a piece. It is what it is. It happens. There are 1,000. I mean, they're going to blunder pieces. It is what it is. Bishop takes d2, and now we have rook d1. Very principled move, hitting to the queen. Very logical. And now we have rook to d8. If you're tactical, you may notice they blundered something here. Yes, they did. They blundered a piece back, but it's okay. Rook takes d2, and queen takes, and now you simply do rook to e8 now. This doesn't quite work. If you would notice, black has king to f7, but the problem with it is rook takes e8. Now, hanging queen or hanging rook with checkmate. What does white do? Oh, they take the queen. They take the queen. It's checkmate in 1. So black plays a bishop b7. They have 2 rooks and a bishop against a queen, which is usually much better for the person with 2 rooks and bishop. But yeah, get an escape square here. Very nice, very nice. And now black just activates his rooks. Very good move, and we take on a5. It's a pawn. It is what it is. You take what you can get, right? Yep, rook d1 check, and yeah, this is where you start getting attacked. I don't really like the bishop move here. You kind of want to use your rooks and double up, maybe attack the f pawn with rook to e2. But yeah, now we start pushing with p6, and we're going to try and promote. You have to do something. Yeah, now rook e2, I like it, and we play f3, which unfortunately succumbs to bishop takes f3 because the pawn is pinned. Queen f5 is another big blunder because it doesn't protect the threat on the g2 square. So cdog va gets checkmated with rook takes g2 checkmate. Pretty beautiful checkmate. It's kind of like ladder checkmate. Yeah, very nice. First game of 5 players, but Frank did come out on top. Game 2. Now we have black. By we, I mean the winner of the match, the new champion, as I'm calling it. e4, and cdog plays the Sicilian defense. I don't recommend this for beginners because it's just very complex to play. But yeah, white chooses the Alpin. Very good system against the Sicilian. And white plays knight c6, and yeah, Alpin Sicilian. This is the entire point. Take, and cdog chooses a very principled approach with d5, striking in the center. black simply plays knight to c3, which is fine, but it's a little bit tricky after d takes e4 because you have to find d5 here, and if you just simply get greedy and take the pawn back, you may notice the pawn in the center is simply hanging to queen takes d4. After queen takes d4, knight takes d4, you're already quite busted because there's a check hanging here. You are up a pawn. Your pieces are coming active very, very quickly as black. So yeah, white's pretty busted here already. Bishop e3 just puts his gasoline on the fire because of knight c2 check, working the king, the bishop, and the rook. So king d2, knight takes a1, obviously taking the highest value piece makes the most sense. So now bishop to b5 check, and you block the bishop. Now, if I'm white, I'm probably just going to take that and try and attack your king somehow. Obviously, it's still much worse, but at least black can't castle. So, yeah, white chooses actually to go back here and try and exploit a weakness on f7, which makes some sense here, which, yeah, at least it's a plan. At least it's a plan. It doesn't work because black simply plays e6, but at least it was an attempt at something. Knight g f3, or I guess I should say knight 1 f3 since they broke on the g file, and you simply play h6, kicking away the knight, getting rid of any threats. Very nice approach by CDawg, and the knight retreats to h3. Yeah, you don't really have much of a choice there, to be honest, but yeah, knights on the rim are dim, and this knight is very dim. It can only ever go to 2 squares that are somewhat logical. Rook c8, attacking the bishop, preparing to extract your knight on c2, which you can actually do right now, because if king takes, then you take the bishop. But yeah, simply play g5, trying to fork the knights. Very tactical move, very good move, I think. Yeah, but white responds with g4, but it simply blunders a pawn, so we take it. It's a little bit greedy to take, but we take those. Yeah, we're hitting the bishop, so the bishop moves, attacking our rook. We move the rook. Very just normal move, simple. Simple is the best way to do it. And rook takes a1. It's okay. You're up an exchange and a bunch of pawns, so you're not really worried about losing the knight back. Yeah. If you can cut with the bishop, try and get some trades in. This is essentially a forced trade. Yeah, bishop takes a7, and honestly, it's a pretty greedy move because bishop on the edge of the board, it can't really retreat to too many safe squares. It's a bit risky. Yeah. Bishop c6, again trying to initiate some trades, attacking some pieces, and yeah, we get knight back to d2, trying to retreat, trying to keep some pieces on the board. Good approach by Frank. But now we have bishop takes b2, another greedy pawn capture. I don't really like capturing the b and a pawns usually, unless they're really clearly hanging and you need extra material to get an advantage. Yeah, you're kind of just helping white activate his own pieces with rook to b1. So yeah, bishop retreats to f6, good square, and bishop goes to b5. But you can simply trade it. You're up material, why not trade? So trade and rook to c3 check, and you are skewering the king and the knight. So that is what we do. Another extra piece, we'll take it. And yeah, bishop, rook takes b7 is played. Another kind of greedy pawn capture, but what else are you supposed to do? I mean, it's a pawn. Take what you can get. Yeah, king to f8, very good move by CDawg, trying to get some king safety. And yeah, king safety is really, really smart here by CDawg. Knight to c4, you maybe have to activate your pieces, what you have left. Yeah, king to g7, and essentially you have nothing. Yeah, but knight e6, or knight d6 is a nice attempt, trying to maybe get an attack on the f7 pawn. But yeah, black simply plays knight to e5. Frank, good move here again, playing bishop d4, trying to remove the defender. But we simply overprotect it with rook to f8, and there is nothing. So white simply goes knight back to c5, trying not to trade if you don't have to. Yeah, we take another pawn. Apparently we're not scared of any tactics here. I think you could have actually won an exchange, maybe. He takes f5, but yeah, this is pretty bad because it's 2 pieces for the rook. So yeah, you can't really get greedy here. Trying to just try to get lucky. Yeah, but the rook just moves. And then what do you do? Because your bishop is protected, your bishop is hanging, so after knight takes f6, you just take an equal trade of bishops. Capture the same piece, keep it simple. Simplest thing to do. Knights are tricky though, so maybe you don't want to leave them on the board. Yeah. Knight e8 check, and yeah, king g6. Your king's very safe. You don't really have much to worry about here. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of go through the rest of the game because it's kind of just black trying to find a checkmate here, which eventually happens. White gets into a mating net after check, and you're kind of falling into a ladder mating net here. This is the back rank now, and you're coming in with rook to a4 check. And yeah, that happens after knight f7, rook a4 check, and it's kind of like a bank mate here, and yeah, so there's only one legal move. Queen plays it, and rook takes b4, checkmate. So score is 1-1, and on to the third game we go. We have white again, and we like having white. e4, and we get Caro-Kann again. Same system, except now our knight's on c3 immediately, rather than developing knight to f3 first. C takes, and we play d4, again getting pawns in the center. A very nice approach. And yeah, 2 knights, not bad. And again, we just have the same system here. Essentially the exact same system, castles. And now we kind of deviate with knight to f5, kind of getting some pressure on the d-pawn. You have to watch out for that. Yeah, we put our knight in the center, putting more pressure on the pinned piece. And yeah, black simply just defends it with bishop d7, breaking the pawn, adding a defender to the c6 square. And yeah, we get really aggressive here with queen and g4. The bishop hasn't really developed yet, so you're not actually looking at the square. And even if the bishop did develop, the knight is protecting the g7 square in the first place. Knight f takes d4. And yeah, now things get kind of wild with some trades here. Queen takes, bishop takes, knight takes. And after things all settle down, black is up a pawn. But it is what it is. You get what you can take. And we play rook to e1, maybe trying to exploit some weakness on the king. And black plays knight b4. Aggressive move. You're moving a piece quite a lot in the opening when you're not really developed and your king isn't super safe. So yeah, queen goes back to e2. Great move, protecting the c2 square. You don't want to get forked. And we play d4. Good move, but again, you kind of wanted to get developed here. You're being a bit aggressive. Simply move the knight, and after rook goes to c8, trying again to attack c2 square. Good approach, trying to put pressure on white's position here, but it is kind of all bad after c3. But yeah, it is kind of scary here because of a d3. You have to move your queen. The knight gets in anyways, and your position does look really cramped here. But yeah, I really like CDawg's move here. Of course, it's a blunder, but it's a blunder for a little bit of a difficult reason to see for a beginner, because you simply have to ignore his completely hanging piece that he put over there that maybe has a plan with it, and you just have to ignore it and take one of these rooks. But the reason that I think it's so brilliant is because G takes h6, and immediately you see the point of bishop to h6. Knight f6 check, winning the queen. Oh man, what a brilliant sacrifice. Bishop h6, of course, objectively terrible, but I think it's quite a good move at beginner level. King d8, knight takes d7, and knight takes a1. Good move, taking the rook instead of the knight, but yeah, you can just take a pawn here as white because the knight is trapped, and now you're defending your own knight. So yeah, black's position is quite busted here. After you move the bishop, you have some nice discover checks, winning the other rook, or winning the black rook. Yeah, king to e7, and you have queen d7 first was better since you win both rooks if they take back. But yeah, now you just pick up everything, simplify, and you are up a queen for a bishop. f5, trying to expand in the center. I mean, what do you really do as black here to try and win? You have to do something to make the game go on. Yeah, we simply double on d1, and unfortunate move happens from Frank. Rook d8. I mean, you just made a battery, man. Come on. Queen takes d8, pretty obvious move here, exploiting the battery. Rook d7 check, and yeah, I really like this move here. Queen g8, pinning, and yeah, there's no way to save the bishop. And after king at 2f6, and simply mate in 1 with queen takes g7, checkmate. 2-1. And on we go to the final game. We have black again. And I'm not really going to explain the opening because it's literally the exact same opening that just happened. And here's where we deviate with knight to a3. I don't know what this move is. Maybe it's some prep that like Gotham showed to Frank. I've never seen this before in my life. So we play at knight to f6, and white strikes in the center with d4. So we can just take, and after takes, there's a hanging pawn in the center. e4. We take it. Why not? Yeah. White plays f3. Don't play f3. There's a reason why GM Ben Feingold says never play f3 or f6, because guess what? It weakens your king along this diagonal, and yeah, it's just a very weakening move. That goes back to f6 though. Can't really exploit it right now, but your king is weaker now. And yeah, bishop goes to e3, and we open up our bishop with e6, looking at the a3 knight, maybe trying to damage white structure. Just a very, very good move. You're going to have to develop your bishop over to this b7, e6 diagonal though. But yeah, we don't really worry about that right now. We're up a pawn. Going to enjoy life for the moment. Yeah, bishop takes a3, ruining the structure. Very principled move. Takes, and check. The queen goes back, which is, you love to see it. Obviously, if the bishop went back, then you just trade, or then you just take the pawn. Yeah, here you can just trade, and now the king can't castle. If bishop takes, then there was knight takes d4. Yeah, now there's just some king safety problems with knight to d4, and you can probably play e5 there, supporting the knight, but I like this approach actually, which is b6, opening up the bishop for bishop to a6, trying to get in here, and yeah, so we do that. Bishop a6, take the bishop. We're up a pawn. Trading material is pretty good to do here. Rook takes, and we castle. Our king is much safer. We're up a pawn. Our knight is more active in the center, and yeah, our position is just absolutely amazing. Rook d8. I don't really like this move. It does put the rooks on forkable squares from the e3 square, which is just not very pleasing. And also, the rook isn't just very active behind this pawn, because you can simply just play d5, and now this pawn is never moving. So yeah, rook a to c8. I do like this approach as well, getting on the open file. And white plays d5, striking the center. It's a good move. It is what it is, but yeah, I do like this move. But yeah, now white kind of takes the advantage of d5 white. You want to open up the position, but he closes it down with d6. And yeah, it's bad because it's on a dark square, so now it kind of blocks the bishop's vision into the position. And yeah, now your rook can't see the d7 pawn. There's just so many drawbacks of d6, even though maybe it's a tempting move at first glance. Knight g5, trying to maybe trade a knight, and we take on e3. The reason we take on e3, although taking on g5 first was completely fine and the same result in the end, if not better. Knight takes e4, and this is the reason why I didn't like the rooks on f1 and d1. I literally just mentioned this earlier. They're forkable on this e3 square. Now, I didn't know that the fork was going to happen. I just like, oh, they're on forkable squares. Maybe it happens in the future, and guess what? It did. Now a rook lift, hitting the knight. I don't really like this move. Why aren't you keeping it simple and just taking a rook? Because now the knight can move back and attack your rook. So yeah, I don't know why you're making it complicated here. Yeah, now you do rook c2, attacking the knight, and guess what? The rooks are still forked, but you're not keeping it very simple. So it is complicated here. Rook f2, but yeah. Now it's getting complicated because now you can move the other rook and the rooks aren't forked anymore. Rook e1. There's no fork. Why didn't you take a free rook? I get it. Your position's still great, but it could be better. Knight back to c4, looking to trade some pieces here. Good move. Knight takes, rook takes, rook takes, rook takes, and you're in a rook endgame, up a pawn. You have a great position. You're on the open file. White doesn't really have any open file to go to. And yeah, you kind of just shuffle your king here. You're cut off on the back rank. It's not looking very good. Yeah, you go rook to d2. I like this move. It does have a drawback though. Getting off the c file, rook c1 is quite scary. But white chooses a very, very bad move here with low time on the clock. Rook a1. Oh, that's a sad rook, man. Oh, I could just cry. Oh, that rook is looking at absolutely nothing. It has 2 pawns in front of it. Not even just 1 pawn. It has 2. So it's never doing anything. Rook takes d6. Good move. And g3. And yeah, the technique here by CDawg is really phenomenal. White is just so passive that you can't do anything. Now his king is also cutting off the rook. It only has 2 squares that it can ever go to. And yeah, getting on the b file isn't great. So yeah, rook d1. And yeah, that's such an unfortunate move because it falls into rook g1. Skewering the king and the rook. And yeah, there's not much more to explain here. I mean, this is just cleaned up by CDawg. Great technique pushing promotion. As GM Yasser Seirawan would say, push a baby. b2, and yeah, you're just going to promote. And here, I actually really like this technique by CDawg. Who needs to promote when you can just play rook b8, checkmate in 1? You don't need a queen for that. And that concludes the championship of the PogChamps chess tournament. Very good chess tournament. I really like what chess.com does with it. Yeah, we have our new champion, CDawg VA from Japan. Now, of course, I'm kind of biased towards Japanese YouTubers because I want to move there in the future. But yeah, we have the new champion. CDawg did play very well. I like his play style. Of course, there's things that can be improved, but hey, there are 1,000. I mean, there's always going to be things to improve. I mean, as long as you play chess, there's going to be things to improve. But yeah, if you like this week's YouTube video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. And as always, I will see you in next week's YouTube video.